He hung up.
He's out. You are live with the App Show. Mike Agerbo here in studio. I've got fellow app nerd John Biehler with me today. We have a lot to talk about on today's program. We will be chatting with the folks over at MasterCard. There's a whole new standard coming to online shopping as far as payments. And it's already launching in the US as we speak. Of course, not here in Canada yet, but it's going to make it even easier for you to actually buy things without passwords when you go to websites.
Yeah, it's pretty cool how they do that. But also
It's like
maybe
voodoo magic.
Yeah, it's a little kind of creepy that they know so much about you, but it's also something you opt into as well.
Yes,
So,
but it's supposed to be even more secure,
yeah, and
which is weird. Like with no password, it's still more secure.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking with Sukhmani Dev from MasterCard. I was down at that Money 2020 conference with you last week and saw some interesting things there as far as technology and the financial side.
It was a lot more interesting than I was expecting.
Yeah, it actually was.
We thought it was going to be a bunch of accountants.
Yeah, but no, there's some really amazing things happening when it comes to like the financial side and how they're using technology to streamline payments. I know it doesn't sound exciting, but this MasterCard interview is pretty cool. We will be talking with the folks over at Plex. This is an app that I've been hearing about for years. All my friends told me, you got to use this app because I know you like having your own TV shows and movies and like to stream them. And I finally loaded it up and it's freaking amazing.
Yeah, you can't stop talking about it around the office.
No, it has changed my life. And I really encourage you, if you like music, if you've got your own videos, and also photos, if you want to manage your photos better and actually have automatic uploading of those photos, you got to check it out. Let's talk about some of the app news now, John. This was kind of interesting. Adobe is bringing Photoshop Camera to Android users.
And iOS.
And iOS, okay.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Photoshop is probably one of the most well-known, preeminent photo editing programs out there. All professionals use it. A lot of regular folks use it as well. It's very powerful as far as, you know, bringing your photos to life and doing crazy things with them. But now they're going to actually have that built into the camera.
Yeah, so this is a standalone app, and essentially they've built all this magic into it. When you take a photo, typically you would take a photo and then you spend a lot of time sort of manipulating it afterwards, you know, in Snapchat or Instagram, something like that. But what Adobe's done with this new app is they want to actually let the magic do it while you're taking the photo. And there's a number of different things you can do on the fly with this app. You can even replace the complete background, you know, so you can take a photo of somebody and put a better background behind them.
Right through the camera app.
Through the app, yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, so it's not available yet. They're actually...
So we're getting everyone excited.
Yeah, well, it kind of might be available. Let me explain. So it's going to be launching in 2020.
Yeah.
But they're taking signups now for anyone that wants to try it as a beta app.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I want to quickly touch on a news story this week. Happened in a Richmond, BC parking lot in the mall. This Tesla, using the summon feature, which has just come out recently, was basically driving itself through the parking lot back to its owner. And everyone was taking video of this and posting it online. And major news organizations, radio and TV, picked this up as a story.
Which is hilarious.
Well, to us, because we're tech nerds, right?
Right. But then this is a feature that's been available for a while in the US.
Yes.
So
what essentially happens is if you've got a Tesla and you've got this feature in your Tesla, you can use your phone when you're at the mall and basically hit the summon part of the Tesla app, and your car will just automatically from its parking space come and find you.
Come and pick you up.
Yes. So there's a few caveats. You have to be within, I think, 200 feet of the car.
And they say line of sight. You have to be able to watch your car, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it only works for a couple hundred feet. Anyway, people were freaking out in these videos that this car was driving itself. They were complaining it's driving in the wrong side of the road. And then I argue, well, it's a parking lot.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, I guess it's a roadway, but it's kind of not.
And I would argue that Tesla's probably driving better than most people in mall parking lots. If you've ever been to a mall parking lot, God help you.
Yes.
So, you could see pedestrian walk in front of it. It stopped. And it's not like it's like doing like 50 kilometers an hour. It's pretty slow.
No, it was crawling.
And overly cautious.
Yes. Yeah.
But everyone was freaked out. So then the owner, I guess they interviewed the owner, and he's saying, well, it was being controlled from another mall. I don't know if they're just saying that just to get the press off their back. But, you know, I was reading all the comments and stuff from people watching this. There's a lot of racist people out there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why you don't read the comments on anything that
drives
is
me crazy.
Specific to locations or...
But, you know, at the same time, you know, for these news organizations, do a little homework. Like, that's a big feature that Tesla announced, you know, weeks ago here in Canada. If they'd done a little research, that's just a known feature. It
is interesting, though. One of the articles I read talked to ICBC, who has said this feature is not allowed in British Columbia.
Oh.
So
good thing I didn't buy that feature.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to have to take a break. When we come back, how would you like to have your photos from your phone just automatically sucked up into your own personal hard drive in your house when you get home? Or if you're near any Wi-Fi hotspot, so you have a backup all the time. And how would you like to be able to access all of your media from any device that's connected to the internet? We're going to talk to the folks at Plex. Back after this. You are back with Get Connected. Mike Agerbo here with John Biehler. Let's talk about content and streaming. For many years, I've had a lot of my friends telling me, you got to get Plex. It's like the best thing ever. And for many years, I did not. I've been using things like Kodi and all sorts of other types of smart TV boxes and apps. And I actually have a lot of my own content. Like, I like to have my own TV shows and movies. I got my own home videos and music. Well, Plex is an app and a platform that makes it so much easier to access that content no matter where you are on pretty well every device you can think of. On the line, we have someone from Plex. His name is Jason Williams. Thanks for joining us today, Jason.
Thank you for having me.
So it's funny. It's just honestly in the past month that I've just kind of got on the Plex bandwagon, and I've been thinking, what the hell have I been doing for the past 5-6 years? I mean, this has changed my life. Explain to listeners what Plex is all about.
Sure. So Plex is kind of your all-encompassing entertainment solution. And it's probably worth just a little bit of history on how we got here. You had mentioned that, you'd like to have your own media, and that's where we really kind of started. So Plex is about 10 years old. It really started out as an enthusiast project. And it was kind of born out of a time where we had tons of DVDs and CDs around, but we had this emergence of streaming media, right? It was just now starting. We started to have these connected devices. So what happened is a lot of the people who had, large volumes of physical media really wanted to be able to get that media both in and out of their homes and on various devices without having to sit there and have a dedicated DVD player or, a huge rack full of CDs and DVDs. So you had mentioned Kodi and XBMC. We actually forked off of XBMC some time ago, where XBMC was really focused on kind of like a local player, and Plex took a different approach where they said, hey, we're going to kind of have a centralized brain, a little server that you install. You point it to wherever your media is, and then all of a sudden we'll have all these clients on mobile devices, TV platforms, that's gaming consoles, your TV platforms today. Really almost anything with a screen now, Plex is just everywhere. And we'll let the kind of the brain be able to stream that stuff too. So that really started with, movie and TV show collections, then moved into music. And then later on, we said, okay, cord cutters were huge fans, and we're going to introduce live TV. So now you can hook up a tuner to your server, and you can watch some DVR live TV without any, cost for over the air. And that kind of just continued. And then obviously, as we've gone further into the future now, we're delivering a lot of first party media too, podcasts and news and web shows and, a ton of other content.
Yeah, it's, and let's just try to walk our listeners through this. If you do have a lot of your own content, there's a couple steps involved. Obviously, that content's living somewhere in your home on a computer, hard drive, whether that's on the computer, on an external hard drive, or even a network attached storage device or hard drive. And essentially, you go to the Plex website and you download the Plex server. And going through the setup there, you essentially tell it where all your content is, what kind of content it is. And from there, you can start sharing that. So now I can actually access that on pretty well all of my smart TV devices in my home, my iPad, my smartphones, just through the Plex app, which is a free download.
And the really nice thing about it is, and this is why I use Plex, Jason, is because it doesn't matter what device you're connecting to the Plex server, it'll transcode if necessary so that it's playable on that device.
Yeah, so that's one of our big. I'm sorry. No, that's one of our big claim to fame. Is we've worked a lot on transcoding. We can talk just high level what that really means, but it means that you can throw any media. It doesn't matter what format, what codec. I know it's a little technical, but essentially, you don't have to worry about doing any pre-processing to your media. You can actually take that media file, make it accessible via the server, and then Plex will handle knowing what it needs to do to that media in order to deliver it. And that might be reduce the bandwidth, so reduce the overall size, the delivery if you're remote accessing over like LTE, or even convert the format to something that the device is capable of playing.
I had an issue in my house. Somehow we've ended up with all kind of Roku smart TVs, which I love for the simplicity, but because I have a lot of my own media, they are not very good at handling the different file formats, and nor do they have the power to handle a lot of these video formats. So once I installed the Plex server and I put the Plex app on the different Roku TVs, it changed my life. Like I was able to access everything. Like, so all the TV shows and movies I have from my collection from, many years gone by, but also, my music, my photos, and even my home videos.
I probably have the nerdiest use case though.
Okay. Of course you do.
I set up the Plex server on my MacBook so that I could actually send the 360 videos that I shot with my 360 camera to my VR headset. So I don't have to have that all stored locally on the device. I could actually have it on a hard drive connected to my MacBook.
So is it streaming it to your?
Yeah, it's streaming it, and it's live, and I can actually interact with it and move around.
And the quality's good?
It's fantastic, yeah.
Wow.
It was the only solution that would actually work properly. Everything else, even the native Oculus stuff that I had, was supposed to work, but it didn't.
So Jason, one of the things I liked as well is that you can stream the content. So I can be anywhere around the world as long as I have some type of data connection, whether through cell data or Wi-Fi, which is typically better and cheaper. But I love the fact that I could also download offline versions of any of the content as well. So if I was going to be on a plane or underground, on a subway.
It's like your own personal Netflix.
It is.
Yeah.
You can tell I'm pretty excited about this.
Is there a Plex app for your Tesla though?
No. Jason, you got to get on that. My Tesla doesn't have a Plex app.
We may be able to work on that. We seem to have a good kind of cross section of Tesla owners and Plex users, so maybe that's something we could do.
Let's talk about. So it's free. This is free to get going, and you can access pretty well most of the stuff and the features. But you also have a Plex Pass as well. Explain to listeners what that's all about.
Yeah. So Plex Pass is really opens up, as you said. Plex is free. You could come in. You can use the 99% use case freely today, but Plex Pass offers you a lot of cool extra features. So things like being able to do things like lyrics for your music as you're playing and access to that. Enhanced artwork. You had mentioned sync. So if you want to be able to sync and take that stuff on the road with you, you can. Automatic camera upload. There's a ton of features that, are kind of more premium features that you can see in Plex Pass. So definitely go to plex.tv, and if you go to look at Plex Pass, you can kind of see all the stuff you get for the free version and everything you get with the Plex Pass version.
Let's talk about that automatic camera upload. How does that work?
So much like if you were using Google Photos or Apple to back up your cell phone, if you take pictures, Plex can automatically upload them, but rather than being stored in the cloud, you can actually store them on your own server. And this is a nice, especially if you like your privacy, but also if you really want to have high res versions untouched by what some of the the others may do, reduced versions for the free packages.
And with with those photos, then you can then share that particular folder or part of it to your family, so you don't have to post them on Facebook. You can actually give them a link, and they can have that own app install and path, basically a tunnel right to your folder of photos.
That's exactly right. So you kind of create albums and share those independently. Yep.
So, Jason, just so I understand, so that feature is available for Android phones and iPhones. How does that work? Is it through the Plex app? Do you give the Plex app permission to go into the photos?
That's it. So when you install Plex, if you open the side menu, you'll be able to enable camera upload, and it'll just start automatically indexing your photos once you give it permissions and upload for you. And you can even set kind of how, various sync options, where to sync, only on Wi-Fi, particular folders, whatever.
This is changing my life, because right now, like I have an iPhone, and so I'm backing everything up into iCloud, but it always kind of freaks me out. Do you know what I mean? Like, what if something bad happens into the cloud? And I know they're good, but I love the fact that I would be able to, and it's automatic, right, Jason?
It's automatic. And the great thing is you can still do both. So if you want to have iCloud, that's great. But if you want to make sure you're always retaining your own, content in a place that you feel safe to store, it's a great solution.
So now basically you're saying when I walk into my house or get a Wi-Fi connection, it just automatically sends them?
Yep, absolutely. You can even have it upload over, LTE if you like, on mobile or cellular. But yeah, you can say, hey, just whenever I hit Wi-Fi, start uploading.
The big thing I really like, though, is that the Plex app is available literally on every platform you can imagine. Like every time I, spin up a new thing we get into the office for review, it's like, hey, there's the Plex app. Like I can install it on that, that Fire TV stick, or, it doesn't matter what it is.
Roku, which I was surprised, but
it's available everywhere.
That was a big focus. I mean, we want to be accessible everywhere on any device. And I think that's one of the things that's made us actually successful in this space is that, we're a mixed home here. Like we have, Android TV, NVIDIA Shields, we have Roku's, so, other family members have Fire Sticks, and it just doesn't force you into an ecosystem. You can basically say, hey, like, I want to be agnostic on what devices I use, but you'll always have access.
Well, I love the fact, though, too, because I got the Plex Pass, and now I'm able to share my libraries of content with anyone. I can just basically get their email address and send them an invite. I can specify what libraries, whether it's my movies, TV shows, my home videos, or pictures, and then through a Plex app, they can see all of that, which is kind of cool.
I'm still waiting for my invite, Mike.
Screw you, John. There was only one. Jason, where can people find out more information?
Plex TV. You'll get all the information you need. You can kind of see all the various stuff we have to offer. I mean, beyond just your personal media, Plex offers a lot of other content now too. So with web shows and news and podcasts, and it's public knowledge at this point in time, but we've done some partnerships with some major studios and looking to actually roll out some first-party content. So I would, ask you to go explore and see what's there. But even if you don't have a media server, keep an eye on us, because we're still looking by end of the year to make a whole lot of content available to users who don't necessarily have servers as well.
So that's Plex.tv, correct?
Plex.tv.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Jason.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That was Jason Williams from Plex.tv. You were back with the App Show. Recently, John and I traveled down to beautiful Las Vegas for a big financial tech conference called Money 2020 to see how technology was influencing how we pay for things. We actually had a great chance to interview Sukhmani Dev from MasterCard about a new payment standard. Not only MasterCard, but Visa, American Express, and many others are jumping on board with when it comes to click to pay when you're doing online shopping. Launching in the US already as we speak, coming to Canada soon. How does this affect you? Listen to the interview. One of the things I hate when I go to do online shopping is that every website I go to, I have to enter my information in again and again, my different credit cards, I have to remember passwords. Well, there's a new standard coming out that's going to make that a whole lot easier. And to help us understand what that's all about, we've got our good friend Sukhmani Dev from MasterCard. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Mike.
So when I go to pay now on different websites, I see things like MasterPass, which is your thing for
That's
MasterCard.
right.
I think Visa has Visa Checkout. But that's all kind of coming together on a new standard called SRC, Secure Remote Commerce. So for the listeners, why should they care about that?
Thanks for asking that question, Mike. Listeners should care about it because this new standard has the word secure in its name, and truly living up to that, it will provide a secure, seamless way for consumers like you and me that don't love remembering a tons of passwords, have a simple, seamless experience online. And what I mean by that is that it's passwordless, yet secure because of the technology that we have built in behind the scenes. So when you see a new stylized fast forward sign, which is the icon for click to pay, as it's called, you'll be able to click on it and breeze through the checkout experience while having the confidence that your transaction is actually secure and it's predictable.
So when I go to my favorite shoe site now and they have that going, I would just basically click on that icon once I've picked out my shoes, and that's it. Like, there's nothing else. I basically click on it, and then I can choose what credit card I want to use.
Exactly.
And there's no passwords or anything.
That's
So how's that secure? That kind of freaks me out.
So you do have to set up your profile one time.
Yes.
And you have to choose to be remembered on that device. And
Got
what
it.
happens behind the scenes is that we have this sophisticated technology that we called passive,
Oh, I know this. It's passive biometrics and behavioral analytics.
You got it. So it's passive biometrics and behavioral analytics that are happening behind the scenes that actually look at the way that that transaction is happening and the data elements associated with it to be able to make a determination whether it's Mike who's actually using this and it's Mike's profile versus it's a fraudulent user and a fraudster trying to commit fraud in your name.
So how does that work? I mean, those are some big words there, behavioral analytics and passive biometrics. When I think biometrics, I think like Face ID on my iPhone or my fingerprint reader. So
this is actually taking account your behavior in the sense of how much are you moving your mouse or how you're holding your device, whether you're left-handed or right-handed. So these elements of your behavior that are unique to you, because I'm sure when you type your name, you type it very differently at a different speed and you pause differently versus when I type my name, I have a different speed, I pause differently. When I click or browse a website, I follow a different path than you might do. So these are characteristics that are very unique to a human being. And that's what we mean by passive biometrics. These are attributes that may not be able to tell exactly that, oh, this is actually Mike or identify you, but they'll be able to verify that this is a legitimate user who we are used to seeing do this kind of behavior. And that's why we're able to say this is not a fraudster, this is not a bot, but rather a legitimate user going through this flow.
So you can tell by the way I'm holding my iPhone, making the purchase, and how fast I'm typing that it's me.
We can tell that you're not a fraudster.
That's kind of cool.
That is actually kind of cool, isn't it?
Yeah. So this new standard obviously will work on mobile devices, but also
Web.
just regular desktops and laptops.
Absolutely.
as
So
well.
absolutely.
So why is it taking this long to come out with like one standard?
Is a good question. So we've been very focused on making sure that your face-to-face payments are secure and seamless and standards driven. So you tap your card in store, you put and chip your card in store, all those transactions happen seamlessly. You don't even think twice about them.
No.
And the reason for all that is standards. And after having that success for a long time in the face-to-face space, obviously we realized that we have to move towards a standards-based approach in the digital world itself because of the fraud that's prevalent in the space, and which is why building together to the standard by EMV Co was the right approach, and that's what we're doing.
Very cool. So from what I understand, it's just available down in the US right now.
That's right.
And so eventually coming to Canada.
That's right. So in the US, we actually launched a couple of weeks ago, and it's live at select merchants. You can, wherever you see the stylized fast forward sign, which is called Click to Pay.
It's a new little icon.
It's a new little icon. You can click and have this experience, and like you said, soon to come to Canada.
What about small businesses? Maybe they have a website, they're selling a few things online. Is this an onerous thing to get it up and going on their websites?
Actually, the thing with this is that because it's standards-based and it's supported by a majority of the card networks, you only have to implement it once, and it actually streamlines the implementation experience for you if you're a merchant or a small business, instead of having to separately integrate, say, into a MasterPass or a different implementation by our competitors. So that used to be a world where you have to do multiple implementations, but now we're moving towards a world that simplifies that integration effort.
And so the actual credit card number isn't going to be like on their system anymore.
Good point. So as part of setting up your SRC profile, when you enter your credit card information to be associated with that profile, what we're doing is we're taking that and replacing with what we call a token.
Okay.
So it is, alphanumeric number that is kind of an identifier, but it's really not your sensitive 16-digit card information.
Yeah.
And the transaction can happen using that token instead. So you're right, like instead of handing over your 16-digit card number, now that is being protected through tokenization.
That would be a lot safer. Like even if you're a small business, that's kind of a risk having all your customers' credit card information, because you probably don't have as high security on your back end that like an Amazon would.
Mm-hmm. We're all about merchant choice. So if as a merchant you did want to save the card credentials, we provide a tokenization solution that can just allow you to save the credentials yourself but tokenize them. Or you can use SRC, which is more of a guest checkout type of experience where you don't, as a merchant or a small business, don't hold on to card credentials, but they sit within the SRC profile or SRC systems, so to speak, and allow that as a path to checkout to your consumers. So we're supporting both. We're all about merchant choice, but we are making our technologies like tokenization that we just talked about and other sophisticated things like MasterCard identity check, which is another thing that merchants can leverage to make sure that the fraudsters stay out of their front door.
Well, that was an interesting interview. And John, just your thoughts about this new standard. Like, I think it's a good thing, but I think a lot of people will be weirded out not having to enter in any kind of passwords.
Yeah. The key thing, though, like she said, is you still have to sort of set it up once on that device.
Yeah.
So that device actually knows it's you. What is a little interesting to me, though, about this whole process is the number and the breadth of the analytics that they're getting from that device when you're doing that transaction.
They say that they're not tracking that to the individual user.
Right.
Other than to authenticate.
Right. And it's interesting how those specific behaviors, like the angle of your phone, which hand you're using, the speed that you're typing your name, all that type of stuff, that just goes into a scoring system. But it's still it's a little unsettling to know that that's the level of detail that these devices, and let's be clear, MasterCard's been very transparent about the fact that they're doing this. What about the other companies that maybe aren't? The fact that they can get this level of detail from the transaction that you're doing, so you want to look for this click to pay icon, because I think if you don't, it's kind of scary when you think about how much data they're getting from that transaction.
I know, but so if I'm understanding correctly, the web store you're going to now, they don't have all your credit card information.
Yes.
Which I think is a huge benefit, because my credit card is all over the internet in all these different e-commerce sites, right?
Yeah.
So to me, it's appealing that now if I use this system, I just have to fill out the information once, and that going forward, whatever e-commerce site I'm going to that is using this new standard, they never see my credit card number. So it's just MasterCard or Visa or whoever that kind of has that information. When you're making a transaction, it's basically sending what they call these tokens that are all encrypted. No one knows who you are. It's just sending the verification to transfer the money on that. So I appreciate that. I just feel my information, especially when it comes to credit cards, is safer.
Absolutely. It's also interesting too that if it detects something that isn't quite, up to the score that they need for that transaction, it'll just prompt you with some additional questions or something like that. Again, another layer of security to make sure it's really you. So if you are, using your device in a different way than you normally would, then, the worst case scenario is you might have to answer some additional questions, but at least that transaction's secure.
We're going to have to take one more break. When we come back, we're going to get John's favorite app of the week. You're listening to the App Show here on the Chorus Radio Network. We will be back after this. You are back with the App Show. Mike here with John. It's that time for John's favorite app of the week.
So this week, Stop Motion Studio.
Okay.
This is for iOS and Android, and it's free. And it's a filmmaking technique. Stop motion is a filmmaking technique that allows you to take a series of still photos and stitch them together, making a video.
Yes. There's a lot of movies like this.
Yeah, all the Christmas holiday specials.
Yes. Wallace and Gromit.
Wallace and Gromit, yes. Yeah. So the technique is painstakingly slow to achieve both during filming and editing. However, the Stop Motion Studio app makes it easy by giving you the ability to take photos within the app or using a digital camera and having the app stitch them together into a stop motion piece for you.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So you basically turn it on, then move the little guy step by step.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can have Lego characters, you can have action figures, whatever you want.
Play-Doh.
Yep, Play-Doh. There's also a host of editing options within the app to help you tell your creative stop motion story.
That's kind of cool. How much?
Free.
It's never free. There must be an in-app purchase. If you wanted to go for more than 2 seconds, $50. No?
No.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to try that actually, because I remember as a kid, I loved stop motion, and the technology was not there for me to really do
I did it on Super 8.
I had a Super 8, but I did not have the patience or the money for the film or the know-how or the creativity. I was missing many things. This app would have solved all of my childhood issues, it sounds like. Stop motion, what's it called?
Stop Motion Studio.
Love it. And it's free.
It's free.
iOS and Android?
Yes.
That's all the time we have left for the app show. Don't forget to visit our website, getconnectedmedia.com. Up there, we've got our video podcast of the program and also our sister show, Get Connected. Not only the TV show, but the radio show as well that you can hear every Saturday here on Global News Radio, CKNW 980, and across the Chorus Radio Network. I want to thank John and Stephen for helping put the show together, and of course, Graham Williams as well, and AJ. This is the team signing off. We'll see you again next time.